This is the Flustered American News Headline Review Program, programming of ISAM Crocier's Revolution with Reason, an advertising vehicle for isamcrocier.proboards.com. To join the conversation, join in at isamcrocier.proboards.com. The shill is intentional. All money supported can be forwarded through patreon.com/isamcrocier. Become a patron at your pleasure at patreon.com/isamcrocier. All transcripts for this and other content can be found at isamcrocier.medium.com. Follow this or other programming of this channel at isamcrocier.medium.com. The podcast can be found for preview or sample at YouTube or SoundCloud.com. The podcast is available for download at Spotify or Stitcher, and hopefully soon to be available through other sources. Revolution with Reason is a news and philosophy opinion review channel. The joke is to tell everyone that I'm special. The punchline is that I wasn't special when I started. I do my best. Here's hoping I am able to inform you of what you did not already have to work with. Before we begin, I will note to those who have listened to me before that I have taken a day off. I did this for the reason that I have had need that I was not prepared to begin. If you find yourself enjoying my programming, I will be continuing the news headline review. In time, I will begin with the other programming. Now on to today's trending headlines, which are last night's trending headlines served up this morning. The links of which will be found by way of my brand-centric Medium page, the address of which you have heard before, isamcrocier.medium.com. In tonight's top story, a Memphis, Tennessee Police Department officer is arrested after allegedly kidnapping and murdering a man while on duty. This news is brought to us by KIRO, K-I-R-O 7 News, which does not provide statistics on the psychological or hopeful conditions of the local police officers. The story also did not cover possible alternatives to violence for police officers on duty, such as renovation or refurbishing affordable housing or festival arrangements while on patrol location. This news provider sucks. In another story from KRO7 News, a Florida nurse stole $42,000 in coronavirus relief. While police are scared and the relief condition is not a publicly available option, these chumps are reporting on the most scandalous spectacle. I am tempted to become alt-right. Charges are being brought against individuals who, quoted, stormed the Capitol building, are flooding the news today as the fallout of Wednesday, January 6th, continues to unroll. An Illinois politician caught up in the mix is returning campaign finance. Zip Tie Guy has been arrested and is from Nashville, Tennessee. And months ahead of the Capitol riot, DHS Threat Assessment Group was gutted. This news is sad, and I don't want any more. Calls are building for the impeachment of Donald Trump, with the popular support behind the loss of presidential privileges for an impeached president, including the loss of a presidential pension and the Secret Service's protection. There is no news yet for if Donald Trump will need to check the box for all further employment. The editor of Forbes is threatening a campaign of truth reckoning for any companies hiring press secretaries from the Trump administration. I give this a nonplussed okey doke. It's about damn time. CEO of the right-wing social media platform Parler says that denials of service by Internet Hub vendors could end their business. Services Amazon, Apple, and Google have all dropped the content service provider, citing support for violence and, according to a statement from Parler CEO John Muzzy, responsibility for the events of Wednesday, January 6. While I am not neutral on the subject, in the same story I want to share a more anecdotal story. Through Reddit, a small business owner and employer of 10 people shares a story of a 2-review campaign against a business that has penalized them into submissiveness. This story is very much like a smaller experience of my own, and the experiences of a great many YouTubers who can't create earnestly ruthless content because of fears of YouTube reporting by otherwise ruthless people. The link will be shared in the transcript. It is my personal opinion that what can only be said is that big tech will have this monopoly until there are alternatives to the tech services that don't indulge in the crazy. NPR reports a Donald Trump employee has been accused of fraudulent money transfer on top of corruption charges laid against him. Making a joke about this would be like punching a child. It's a no-holds-barred successful fight. Regarding other protests, Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser has asked the acting Secretary of Homeland Security to cancel gathering permits around Inauguration Day following the riots of Wednesday, January 6, NBCWashington.com reports. There are 7 protest zones requested, 2 identifying as pro-Trump or anti-inaugural. Other protests involved are supporting God, socialism, and Falun Gong. When asked why not one protest organization applied for a permit to attack the president-elect directly, my imagination reports that Mayor Bowser replied, "Who has the time?" A meeting between a protest of pro-Trump support and anti-Trump support has created what local police term to be unlawful gathering, NBC7 San Diego reports. Political masturbation met unorderlyism as a hail of rocks, bottles, and pepper spray that can only be described as an orchestra of fiasco rained down on police, separating the 2 protests. There was no word from local police if there was a dancing between the Sharks and the Jets. The Trump administration's COVID-19 rollout has been criticized this week for promoting crime among this nation's wealthy elite, reports NBC4 Los Angeles. Reports indicate that the wealthy are flying across country to Florida to get black market doses of the vaccine. I don't blame you, Richie Rich. I just didn't think of it first, but we cannot condone that kind of behavior. Shame, shame. Virginia athletics got technical this week as the Roanoke Times of Christiansburg, Virginia reported that the Virginia Tech athletics program was one of 19 schools who refused to divulge to the New York Times how many of their students became infected with the coronavirus due to sports-related activities. The school cites a mix of federal and state privacy laws for their hesitance to divulge their COVID numbers. When it comes to privacy concerns, Virginia is very technical. The Navajo Nation has been one of the hardest hit regions in America, with over 860 known deaths and nearly 25,000 cases of COVID-19. America does not yet know when the vaccine will go into wider distribution. I have no joke on this matter. More news this week in the Modesto shooting of an unarmed clown. Officer Joseph Lamenta is known to have subdued 4 other people with fatality tactics in the past, making Trevor Seaver his 5th fatality. Although Trevor fits my definition of a clown, or an impoverished person known for awkward-to-fathom tactics and settling for less, I must ask, can we get the cops to leave the guns in the car? I'm sure a taser crossbow would have a lower fatality rate. A gun is like a cookie jar on the bottom floor. it makes a fatality shortcut. And it isn't simply a baby that would go after the cookies jar. A puppy would go after the cookie jar. It is a no-brainer. There is something going wrong in Aurora, Colorado, a suburb of Denver, in which two disturbing police encounters have taken place for black people. Friday, it was decided that two Denver police officers would not be charged for detaining four girls on the ground and in handcuffs, one of which was 6 years old, who were with an adult at the time and could not have been faulted for any activities taking place. On the same day, the Colorado Attorney General opened a grand jury investigation into the death of Elijah McClain, a 23-year-old man described as spiritual seeker, pacifist, vegetarian, sportsman, and peacemaker, ultimately described as gentle. This man was choked out and eventually sedated by officers who later took glory photos of their emulating the actions that killed the young massage therapist. It is little wonder to this joke writer that Colorado can muster the political unification to change their beset troubles into opportunities, but cannot muster the organization to pay for better, and likely more, teachers. Now for some uplifting news. The first Awesome Games Done Quick Marathon raised over $2.75 million for the Prevent Cancer Foundation. I wish more people were working for games literacy and the awareness that gamers are doing pretty okay. I think I'll do political work for that. A Canadian guy had a great idea, but I couldn't get past the idea that the town in Calgary was named Medicine Hat. How does that work exactly? This realtor, by trade, organized local businesses to donate money to restaurants to be donated to the local food bank. That is supporting small businesses. The AP reports, no reform on Capitol Hill will require that shell companies provide the names of their owners, who could formerly act in anonymity. Now, all the bribery, drug trafficking, and financing of terrorists should be a thing of the past. A 9-year-old boy in Moody, Alabama, managed to get his little sister out of a car before his mother was hijacked for it at a gas pump. It is hopeful and ominous that, at least in the children, America is still showing signs of life. The Detroit Free Press reports that Governor Gretchen Whitmer signed a bill on Monday to curb or otherwise revolutionize the state of Michigan's criminal justice system. This is the second time in my few weeks of reporting the headlines that I have been so impressed by the officials of Michigan. That really is something. An unemployed Las Vegas cook has won $1 million prize in what appears to be a fantasy football betting game. I applaud all football fans everywhere for having had this opportunity. In tonight's final story, Today.com weaves an image of New Jersey Representative Andy Kim walking among the mess of the riots on Wednesday, January 6, picking up bottle and other litter alone, clearing away litter alone. This has been Isham Samuel Crozier reading to you last night's trending headlines, and I am so very ready for next weekend. It's got to be last Wednesday. Gotta be. This is a beep! I'm gonna find something more priori, I think. That's what I'm gonna